We are on the start of the road to WrestleMania after a phenomenal Elimination Chamber weekend, including the Raw after. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping in. We got to talk about all things Elimination Chamber and also touch upon something for AEW Revolution coming up this Sunday. So if you guys like to hear me ramble about what's going on in wrestling, make sure you're leaving a like on this video, make sure you're commenting your thoughts along, and subscribing to the channel because I want to keep you up to date with everything on this road to WrestleMania. So make sure that you are staying here and staying in the loop. We would be remiss to talk about the road to WrestleMania if we did not talk about the most shocking heel turn I think I've seen in WWE in probably the last 20 years, because it's how long it's taken him to do it. John Cena wins the men's Elimination Chamber match, and immediately after aligns with The Rock and Travis Scott. We don't have to talk about him, but he takes out the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, cementing his place as the soul that Rock ends up stealing, and he's probably going to be The Rock's champion going into WrestleMania 41. We have this final clash between two generations of company men with Cena and Cody representing their specific eras. This is being taped before SmackDown, so I have no idea what we're going to see as far as the fallout, the motives, but it is crazy to see that WWE finally pulled the trigger, especially because we've seen John Cena talk about turning heel in the past and why it may or may not be a good idea. He seems like he is all in on this last run to close out his career in 2025 as an active competitor. This is probably going to be the push that gets him to that 17th world title reign, so I'm very intrigued. But you guys let me know what you're thinking down below, because I genuinely have no idea what's going to happen at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. So there's a rare occasion where I don't know if it's going to be number 17, if Cody retains and he holds on to it for a full year. It's just craziness out of the men's Elimination Chamber that I didn't even see coming. Who would have thought? Of course, not to be outdone, we had the women's Elimination Chamber kicking things off. We saw the return of one Jade Cargill finally getting her hands on Naomi after it seems of months of forgetting that Jade was even attacked behind the scenes at SmackDown when Bianca was in that Women's United States Championship tournament. To now we had that video evidence of Liv and Raquel also at the scene when they were getting ready to carry Jade off in that ambulance. But the shocking part of everything is just the fact that she's walking into the Elimination Chamber as the match starts. She mouths the words, "I know it wasn't you," to Liv Morgan, and immediately makes a beeline over to Naomi and takes her out of the match, which is insane. You have Bianca Belair screaming in the chamber the whole time. She's super animated. She's distraught. She can't believe what she's saying. And that being the motivation to help her try to stay focused on the task at hand, which was successfully winning her second Elimination Chamber. The first time we've had a woman win 2 Elimination Chamber matches, and Bianca Belair has herself a Women's World Championship match at WrestleMania 41. But it asked a better question of who is she going to face, because we were going into Monday Night Raw in my hometown of Buffalo, where we had then champion Rhea Ripley going against the challenger of Damage Control's IYO Sky. And much to everybody's surprise, because I surely didn't see it coming, IYO Sky, the new Women's World Champion, defeats Rhea Ripley in the main event of Monday Night Raw. Much to the surprise of everybody, just because we've gotten so used over the years of championships not really changing hands before WrestleMania, especially after the Royal Rumble. I mean, we've seen Asuka lose the SmackDown Women's Championship to Charlotte Flair before that WrestleMania 35 main event, but this was one that I really didn't see coming, and it made the actual moment so much grander than I think it even could have been perceived to be. So we have Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair mouthing off at ringside because Rhea's getting in her own head about how Bianca's also rooting for IYO because of their friendships. And then Rhea kind of shoves Bianca, and they get into a little bit of a shoving match. To the referee's discretion, Jessica Carr, she does not disqualify Rhea or IYO for Bianca getting physical because it was in retaliation. Rhea started the altercation. The referee says, no, you got to get back in the ring. Rhea's setting up for a super riptide. She looks over, she's like, this is going to be you at WrestleMania, Bianca. And IYO hits a beautiful Hurricane Rana to counter. Over the moonsault, 1, 2, 3. IYO Sky, your new Women's World Champion. A traditional Grand Slam champion in the women's division, having held the Women's World title, the WWE Women's Championship, the Women's Tag Team Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, and also the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. So joining her sister in Damage Control, Asuka, as another Grand Slam champion. We have ourselves the makings of what could be a very spicy triple threat match going into WrestleMania. I'd ask for some thoughts on Twitter, and I got a few tweets here at Magic Impact saying, I'm loving the Women's World Championship picture right now. Rhea feeling isolated is such a much needed evolutionary character and something we know she's been wanting to do for a while. I'm also excited to see how Bianca plays fully into Jade versus Naomi as well. Because we still don't know who did it. We're going to find out on SmackDown tomorrow as I'm recording this. But, I mean, we did also see backstage after Raw went off the air, Rhea realizing that she had no one to blame but herself. It wasn't Judgment Day. It wasn't Liv Morgan. She truly got into her own head, and she was the one that lost her championship this time. It wasn't something that was taken away from her. She laid on the mat for the 3 count. She lost this reign as the Women's World Champion. So seeing that deterioration in her, realizing that she's not going to have to do whatever it takes to get into WrestleMania and also try to get that championship back. Astro Pizarro also saying, enjoying how it's unfolding with Rhea's character change and whatever combination we get with Rhea versus IYO versus Bianca, which seems like it's going to be the WrestleMania match, a phenomenal triple threat match. I would be very surprised if we end up seeing something happen with the Women's Tag Team Championships and it frees up Liv Morgan and maybe make it a fatal 4-way. But, I mean, those 3 on their own, that is a banger of a matchup. We haven't seen that kind of combination of those 3 in the same area since NXT back in 2019-2020. So I'm very much intrigued to see how this Women's World Championship match is going to play out at WrestleMania, but you guys let me know down below what you're thinking as well. And lastly, stepping over to AEW briefly, I would be remiss to not talk about AEW Revolution coming up this Sunday on pay-per-view from the Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. And we have the Hollywood ending of Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the AEW Women's World Championship in a brilliant face-to-face sit-down that they just had with Renee Paquette on this week's episode of Dynamite. We got to see the true range of emotions of Mariah going from the extreme conniving thievery of the Women's World Championship after winning the Owen Hart Invitational Tournament to having it all come crashing down. And Toni Storm is just so brilliant with the way that she's saying that this is what happens when you try to kill God. We got to see that huge stare down, and Renee hoping that nobody gets hurt, and then they both say in unison, pray for her. This should be the main event of AEW Revolution. The fact that it's not really does disappoint me. We've seen so many people, myself included, just kind of done to death with the Death Riders versus Cope. I feel like this is the one time that we've had a true potential for a classic women's main event on an AEW pay-per-view, and we have not had that. This is the end of a trilogy. This is something that's been 15 months in the making. It's been the greatest story ever told in AEW's women's division. This would have been the way to double down that AEW's been taking the women's division seriously on all levels. We've gotten to see the great matches out of talent like Mercedes Moné, out of Chris Statlander, out of Willow Nightingale, out of Sky Blue, Julia Hart. We've gotten to see so many good matches out of members of the roster. We haven't had a true story that's gotten this grand build where it feels like there's nothing else that can come on after this match. So the fact that as it stands right now, it's not going on last really does sting, because this would have been the perfect main event for Revolution. I feel like the only way that this was not main eventing is because we're going to see the AEW World title change hands where Cope defeats Jon Moxley and then immediately loses it to Christian Cage, using that contract that he won all the way back at All In. So, who's to say, but a lot going on in the world of wrestling over the last week or so, and it's only going to keep up as we get into WrestleMania 41 and after that Double or Nothing. So again, if you guys want to be in touch with everything going on in the world of wrestling, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you're giving a like on this video, sharing it with your friends, commenting what you would like to talk about coming down the weeks as we approach WrestleMania season, and I will see you all on my next one. So take care, everybody.